There's something that's so wonderful about being able to witness those very early hours of the morning when there are no cars in the street. I've had an issue with someone in the last few months, someone close to me. I asked someone for some help, and although I was only making a request, they heard it as a demand. And it's funny because it's someone who is extremely obedient. Someone who will do everything that the government tells them to do. If they say it on the television, if enough people are doing it, they'll follow. Almost no matter what it is. There's a profound fear in them. Fear of being ostracized, being singled out, of being punished. Someone who I might describe as being a member of the cult of normality. Where the desire to be included, the need for inclusion so strong that it ends up jeopardizing their own personal sovereignty. And yet this person, who I know very well, faced with a perceived demand from me. One of the things I've learned about demands is that they lead to they leave everyone in a position where one either is going to comply with that demand or rebel. And it's funny because this person who is normally so compliant faced with the opportunity to help, but perceiving a demand from someone from whom she didn't fear any reprisal, felt the urge to rebel. And this caused me some pain for a while because I needed help. I was in one of the most precarious moments of my life. And it took some courage to ask for help in the first place. It's not always an easy thing to do, to ask for help. I spent many years studying the nature of needs, fundamental human needs. Really exploring that idea, which is far more than an idea. We all have these very human crucial needs that must be met in order to experience contentment in life. We all know what it is to have a need for hunger. Well, not a need for hunger, but a need for food. A need for water, for shelter. A need to be seen, a need to be heard. A need for connection. A need for inspiration. These are just a handful of things that all human beings need in order to feel right with themselves. And over the years I came to see that I have a really profound need for autonomy. A need to be self-governing, to not be told what to do. And when we hear a demand, demand means we're being told what to do. My granddad had a wonderful phrase that he said often. He said there was no right or wrong apart from that which is forced upon you by authority. There is no right or wrong apart from that which is forced upon you by authority. That is to say, someone with the power to force your hand, to make you, to tell you what you have to do. There's no right or wrong apart from that which is forced upon you by authority. It took me a long time to really get my head around that. So I got to thinking that I had, and that it was particularly me that seemed to have this profound need for autonomy. The number of issues that I encountered in my life that I realised came back to this need for autonomy. Issues in relationships, at work, with family, in society, in organisations, with friends, with the voices in my head even. I came to notice that through the course of growing up, I'd imbibed imaginary voices from the culture. You have to do this, you have to do that. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. You must go here, you must go then. And I had drunk those in so profoundly, they'd become synonymous with the voice in my own head. Oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. Oh, I have to, I should. That is a pernicious little word. Should. And this person I was having an issue with is someone who uses that word should a lot. And I've come to realise how dangerous it is when we should ourselves. Ooh, watch out. It's a word I never use now, because it always leads to guilt. Should is a nasty little word, because it always infers guilt, that there's something that we should do, something else, something other than what we have done. We should do this, we should do that, we should have, and we shouldn't do this, and we shouldn't do that. Oh my goodness. The pain and suffering that has been caused by that word. I came to see that if I ever used that word should, even in the confines of my own mind, it was a recipe for misery and for guilt. And that's not a healthy thing. And it's a word that shows the nature of the slave system in which we live. It's a very alien idea when we really consider the nature of it. Imagine being in a Garden of Eden with the word should. And in fact, it goes right back to the story of the Garden of Eden, when there was that first commandment not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Oh, you're totally free here. Eat, drink, taste, everything you desire. Apart from this, you shouldn't eat that. And that's something which is very, very interesting about the nature of that traditionally Christian relationship with what I consider to be a God with a small g. The most ancient scriptures on this earth, the cuneiform scriptures of the Babylonian civilization, talk about the Adamu civilization that was created as the result of genetic engineering that was carried out between two brothers, Enlil and Enki. It's funny that Adamu civilization seems to dovetail mythologically with Adam. And Enlil and Enki were arguing, so the story goes, about whether or not their creation, their test tube creation, should be given free will or not. And whether this is myth or a more factual story than previously we had dared to consider, it seems to really speak to something about the nature of human beings. Because even in the most obedient people, there is still this irrepressible need for autonomy. And it's one of the reasons why a control grid will never fully capture the human spirit. The need for freedom and liberty is irrepressible. And even though we stand on the precipice of the perfection of control, where the technology now exists to trace every financial interaction, not just to trace but to control, the possibility of controlling the money in everybody's wallet, to be able to limit people's ability to travel through programmable money, to limit what people can buy, who they can see, where they can go, what they can do, through surveillance and weaponized technologies. There is now the capacity for near perfect control with the use of drones and prisons, and there's no need for prisons even, because people can be restrained and even through incredible technologies controlled even within their own bodies. There is now the technology available to control us from the inside out, lest we give up our sovereignty. But I do not fear that control grid. Maybe naively, but there is something which is so hostile to the human spirit about subservience, following orders, that even the most rebellious or the most obedient people cannot tolerate it for long. And something that occurred to me just the other day was the difference between revolution and rebellion. People love the notion of revolution. It really seems to excite the spirit in many. But I've long since regarded that notion with suspicion. Because if we look at the course of history, revolution just seems to be a moment in an ongoing system of oppression. All we see in a revolution is the revolving door of power opening to a new family of oppressors. Out with the old and in with the new, the revolving of the system of order to apparently leave new people at the top, at the hands of power, to pull the reins on the rest of society. You know, the Tsars in Russia were destroyed in order that the communists could take control. And and they were replaced by the oligarchs, and so it goes on. Revolution, the word itself, relates to things that spin round on and on, cycles that just go on and on, the revolution of a clock or of a wheel going round and round and round. I did a video a long time ago, probably one of the most popular I've ever done, it went kind of viral, in which I said how much I wanted to stop this revolution. It's a ride I want to get off. And so when I hear people call for revolution, I feel very concerned, because they're commonly bloody revolutions, inflict a lot of pain and distress. And yet, to oppose the idea of revolutions seems to suggest going along with a system of power. But it doesn't have to. And that's where I noticed this thing about rebellion. A rebellion it just requires us to rebel against the demands from an external authority. We can do that where we are, anywhere we are, everywhere we are, simultaneously or not. This irrepressible need for autonomy, to be in charge of our own existence, to make the decisions that affect our lives, to choose our fate. We're always choosing our fate. Even when we don't think we are, we're still choosing to go along with other people's demands. There's always a choice. Faced with a demand, we have the choice to comply or to rebel. But rebellion doesn't require a revolution. And it seems to me that in these times of a great awakening, a profound spiritual awakening, we live in the times of apocalypse where the veil is being lifted, where the truth can be seen by all, where the system's naked oppression is being revealed, and where the true nature of the human spirit is coming to the fore. And we won't take it anymore, it seems. In growing numbers, people are standing up and saying, I've had enough. That's a rebellion. It's not calling for a revolution. It's a subtle thing. But it's not about people clamouring to initiate a new system of control, to take over the reins of power. It's just that rebellion against anyone that would undermine our God-given right for self-determination. And I don't like the idea of rights anymore. I mean, where are your rights? Are we talking about, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Provided by the United Nations? A group of ill-informed suits in a conference, writing some stuff down on a piece of paper? Is that what your rights are made of? Or in scripture? The idea of rights is one that is on very shaky ground. So I don't really like to use that word. I do go for the idea of a birthright. And this life is my birthright. It seems to me that if there was an argument between Enlil and Enki as to whether or not us humans should be given that right for free will, the capacity for self-determination, it's fairly easy to see who won that discussion. And here we are, with this profound need for autonomy. So it's funny because this realization has helped me to really breathe some forgiveness into my relationship with this person whom I felt quite hard done by, and a kind of mean-spiritedness in this resistance to helping me at a time when they could have done easily. It's helped me to see that they heard a demand, that they heard a should, and for once they were able to stand up for what they wanted. And they weren't going to be forced to help me. And it makes me smile. They've gone along with so much in their life. So much that they perceived that they had to do. So I kind of celebrate it for them. I do celebrate it. Because it shows that even in the most obedient of souls, there's still that flame of freedom flickering in the darkness. And that is a wonderful sign for all of us. It means that a whole new level of freedom is just around the corner. It is here for the taking now. And that, for me, is the true nature of rebellion. It doesn't require any fight, because it's just there, imprinted upon the human soul. And I believe we all know that to be true. Nobody wants to be told what to do. It is repugnant to what it is to be human. And when I harked back earlier to that Eden-like state of life in the early garden as forest dwellers, naked upon this beautiful earth, the idea of being told what to do by an external authority is so preposterous. And that's what suggests to me that the God of the scriptures, or the gods of the scriptures, are really gods with a small g, with those commandments, with those shoulds and shouldn'ts. For me, they suggest a small-minded God with a small g. It may have been a creator, but not the creator. Not the creator of a free will universe. Of an existence where a conscious spirit had the capacity for free will and self-determination, which we do. We may all be human, one kind, one kin, with the same coloured blood running through our veins. We are also individuals, each one naked and alive, in front of our own individual deaths, with one life in our hands. There's a smile spreading across my lips right now. Because as I said that, I realise that it's going to be very difficult to carry on as I have after elucidating a realisation like this. This is not me waxing lyrical. This is me coming to my own realisation in real time. The rebellion is alive in me and has been dormant for some time. And now it's time to find its expression. And now, it's time. Love be with you. We don't need a revolution. We just need the spirit of rebellion to be ignited in each and every heart. And that flame is flickering and burning stronger and stronger. And in some hearts it's a raging inferno that will not be easily extinguished. In fact, it never will be extinguished.